Today, we're diving into Australia's most legendary cop cars, muscle machines built to rule the roads and chase down anything with wheels. Why did Aussie cops need such beasts? Let's find out. First off, let's talk about the Ford Falcon GT, specifically the XW and XY models. Now, these weren't your average family sedans. They were mean machines, built for speed and power, and the police knew it. When the police needed something with muscle and dependability, they often looked at the Ford Falcon GT. The police wanted the best, and the Falcon GT gave it to them. Could a car this powerful be too much even for the police? The XW and XY GTS had a few things that made them special. Under the hood, you'd find a big 351 cubic inch V8 engine, often called the Cleveland. This engine was a powerhouse, giving the car lots of go. The XW could make around 300 horsepower, and the later XY model bumped that up to about 330 horsepower. Both cars gave you around 380 pound-feet of torque, which was great for pulling away from a standing start and for overtaking. This helped police in chasing down speeding cars on the highways and byways of the country. The engine liked to rev up to about 5,400 RPM, letting the driver use all of the power available. Top speeds were around 140 miles per hour, which was seriously fast for the early 1970s. They also had special heavy-duty suspension, improved brakes, and beefier frames to handle hard use. Back in their day, these Falcon GTs cost around $4,500. Today, a well-kept one can cost upwards of $200,000, showing how much people love these cars. Ford made about 2,287 XW GTs and 1,557 XY GTs, making them somewhat rare and sought after by collectors. A fun fact is that some XW Falcons used by the police came with a unique police pack that had features not found on normal cars. The police wanted something strong and fast, and they got it. Next up, we have the Chrysler Valiant Charger, a car that looked like it was ready to go to war every time it hit the road. These cars were built to be tough and fast, and they ended up being a favourite of police forces around Australia. The Charger stood out from the crowd with its fastback design and low-slung stance. It was a car that screamed power, and it had the engine to back it up. Now, what secret weapon did the Valiant Charger have that made it a cop car legend? The Charger came with a few engine choices, but the one most people think about is the famous Hemi 6-cylinder. The most powerful of these was in the E49 model, with a 265 cubic inch engine that made 302 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. While it didn't have a V8 engine, the Hemi 6 was special because it made a lot of power for its size. It could rev to around 5,600 RPM, and it gave the Charger a top speed of around 135 miles per hour. The Charger, just like the Falcon GT, had heavy-duty suspension to help the car handle high speeds while chasing other cars. The engine's strength and flexibility made it a great car for police work. When new, these Chargers would cost about $3,300. Today, a well-kept E49 can be worth over $250,000. Chrysler made about 2,124 E49s, and only about 100 or so were made with the police package, making the police version of this car extra rare. It's an Aussie muscle car legend, and collectors would give anything for a chance to own one. The Charger had a unique place in police history in that it was the go-to cop car of its time, and it's still remembered fondly by car lovers and police officers alike. But here's a jaw-dropping question. What if I told you one of these iconic cop cars wasn't just a police favourite, but also a secret weapon in an undercover operation? Which car doubled as both a patrol beast and a covert enforcer? And what shocking stories from the streets are hidden under its hood? You'll have to stick around to find out. It's a twist you won't see coming. Let's turn our attention to the Holden Monaro GTS, a car that not only looked amazing, but was also super powerful. The Monaro GTS was often a go-to choice for police forces, and it had some features that made it perfect for the job. The Monaro GTS came with a range of engines, but the most popular one for the police was the 350 cubic inch V8, making around 270 to 300 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. With the heavy-duty suspension, it was very stable, even at high speed, and made it a great vehicle for patrolling the highways. It would rev up to about 5,000 RPM and had a top speed of around 130 miles per hour. These cars were strong and easy to handle, important for police in chasing and apprehending criminals. Holden built these Monaros with extra bracing to help take some abuse. The Monaro was more than just another patrol car. It had a big part in Australian car culture. A new Monaro GTS would have set you back around $4,200. Now, a good condition example would easily go for upwards of $150,000. Holden built around 2,176 Monaro GTS coupes, which makes them pretty rare. Some Monaros used as police vehicles even had special equipment that was not found on any other vehicle. These police Monaros were a special kind of car, showing that the police could have muscle and style. But wait, let me tell you a mind-blowing fact you wouldn't have expected. The police weren't just looking for fast cars. They were unknowingly caught up in a fierce rivalry between Australia's top car makers. Ford, Holden and Chrysler weren't just building muscle cars for the public. They were battling behind the scenes to win police contracts. Why? Because landing a deal with law enforcement was the ultimate street cred. Imagine this. Your average citizen sees a Ford Falcon GT chasing down criminals on the highway. What does that say? It says, "This car is so good, even the cops trust it." That kind of branding was priceless. So, automakers started one-upping each other. Ford added beefier suspensions, Chrysler tuned their engines for extra power, and Holden, they went all out with factory options specifically designed to outshine their rivals. Now let's change our gear and move on to another car that was small but packed a punch. The Holden Torana GT RX U1, a car that was small but mighty. This was the one Torana that people always wanted to have. With its great looks and amazing performance, it was a natural choice for police. The Torana GT RX U1 was fitted with a 186 cubic inch inline-six engine, which pumped out around 190 horsepower. The engine was designed to run to 6,000 RPM, and the car could do 125 miles per hour. While this might not be as impressive as the V8s we've looked at before, it's important to remember this was a much smaller car. This made the Torana GTR XU1 nimble and very easy to handle, especially in city streets and winding roads. The Torana GTR XU1 became the car that was good at chasing any type of car, big or small. The car originally cost around $3,700. Today, a well-looked-after example can go for over $120,000, showing how loved these cars are by collectors. Holden only made about 2,500 GTR XU1s. The police version had a very special suspension and brakes, making them perfect for the job, as well as special interiors and a speedometer that was certified to give accurate readings. Finally, let's shine the spotlight on one of the most iconic Aussie cop cars ever, the Ford Falcon XA Pursuit. This car was a statement of authority, power, and style all wrapped into one. The XA Pursuit was part of the Falcon lineage, but took things up a notch with its aggressive design and performance upgrades. But what made the Ford Falcon XA Pursuit the ultimate enforcer on Australian highways? Under the hood, the XA Pursuit often carried the legendary 351 cubic inch Cleveland V8 engine. This powerhouse cranked out around 300 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque, giving it serious speed and acceleration. The engine was paired with a 4-speed manual gearbox, allowing officers to make full use of its power during high-speed pursuits. The car could rev comfortably to about 5,200 RPM and reach a top speed of approximately 135 miles per hour. These figures were impressive for a police car in the early 1970s and made the XA Pursuit a force to be reckoned with on the highways. But it wasn't just the engine that made the XA Pursuit a standout. Its heavy-duty suspension and reinforced chassis were specifically designed to handle the demands of police work. This meant the car could corner with confidence and maintain stability at high speeds, even on less than perfect roads. To ensure reliability, the XA Pursuit came with upgraded cooling systems and brakes, which were critical for those long, intense chases. Many of these vehicles were fitted with distinctive police livery, including flashing lights and sirens, which added to their commanding presence. Inside, the XA Pursuit was equipped with a no-nonsense interior that featured a certified speedometer, police radio equipment, and reinforced seats to withstand heavy use. When new, the XA Pursuit would have set police departments back around $4,000, a hefty sum at the time, but well worth it for such a capable machine. Today, surviving examples of the XA Pursuit are incredibly rare, especially those that retain their original police modifications. A well-preserved model can fetch upwards of $150,000 at auction, making it a prized collector's item. This car's legacy lives on in the memories of those who drove it and in the admiration of car enthusiasts worldwide. So, there you have it, 5 mind-blowing muscle cars that once wore the badge of law enforcement. Before we put the brakes on this ride, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your car fan friends. And the next time you see an old muscle car, remember it just might have a secret life of chasing bad guys and keeping Australian roads safe. Also, don't forget to check out other mind-blowing videos on our channel.